Today's tech tip is about Jamboard. It's both hardware and software, and it's an interactive, collaborative whiteboard. Now, a few years ago, Google announced they were going to be doing their own interactive TV, and when it finally was released, the maximum size, well, there's one size that's 55 inches. It's also about $5,000 for the TV, another $1,500 for the wheels, and there's also an annual fee. So I was a little less excited when it got rolled out. But the good news is you can just use the software portion, and we're going to look at what that looks like. And the great thing is you can use any mobile device, Chromebook, iPad, phone. It's really versatile and pretty powerful. So let's look at that. Now, just like the rest of the Google Suite, you can go to the name of the product.google.com. So jamboard.google.com will get you to this page where you can click on the plus sign and you're going to go ahead and then start a new jam. Also, just like a lot of the Google products, if you go to Google Drive and click on New and More, you're going to notice that the Google Jamboard is an option here as well, and that those Jamboards will just show up in your Drive like any other project. So we're going to go ahead here, and this is where you would rename it. So we'll go ahead and say Tech Tip. And if we work our way across the top, this is your frames. I can click on this and make multiple frames. And I can make frames within frames, in between. It's a little boring right now since they're blank. You can duplicate and delete those. On the iPad, I'll show you some more options you have for things like backgrounds. The little snowman here gives you some options. The one I really wanted to point out was send feedback. So they're continuing to build Jamboard out, but if there's something you'd like to see, let Google know. We've already received 3 letters of things they've upgraded due to our suggestions. One suggestion I continue to give feedback on is revision history would be a great one, as well as being able to drop things on different frames, which does work on iPads, and I'll show you that in here in just a moment. Now, a jam code, similar to Google Classroom, where you can give students a code to join you instead of entering all their names, you can do that with a Jamboard. So this is my code. And then if we go back to jamboard.google.com, we created a new one last time, but you can also click in this top corner where the hyperlink icon is and put a code in, and now you can join somebody else's code and make it collaborative. Now, it did have the option of adding people just like sharing any other document, but if you don't want to add everybody's names, just go ahead and give them that code. Now let's go ahead and work our way down the side. So we have undo and redo, which are super helpful. And on the Chrome version, you have these 4 pens. So you have a regular pen, you've got a marker. If you wanted to change the color, you can do that first. Now you have a highlighter and also a paintbrush. You'll see on mobile devices that are touchscreen, you have some other options as well. The eraser is the type where you just touch what you want to erase. It doesn't erase the whole line. You only have a few colors to choose from, which means you're not going to lose 10 minutes choosing the right kind of green. You have one green to use, and there you go. We're going to skip the arrow for a moment. Sticky notes are awesome, so I can change the color of my sticky note. Here is a note. And oh, I misspelled that, but we're going to go ahead. If I had lots of ideas, I can just keep clicking them, hitting the save, and it's just going to keep making sticky notes. So it's a quick way to get your ideas out on the paper and then mess around with them. Now I'm going to jump up to the arrow, and that's what you can click on to move things around on the page. And I can make those larger, smaller, so I have some hierarchy. I can put lots of little notes on top of bigger notes, so connect those, whatever you want to do. And add an image allows you to search Google, search your Drive, or also search your photos on whatever device you're on. So I'm going to go ahead and click add this image, and there we go. Now on the Chromebook, I can't really put this on another frame. If I wanted to be on frame 3, I'd have to have added that image there, but you'll see some more options when we get to a touchscreen device. But that's how you start a jam, how you can add somebody to your jam or have them put the code in, and some of the basic features. But let's look at some of the more advanced features on the iPad now. Okay, so here I am on an iPad with that same jam, and I'm using the Jamboard app. There's a few different pens I have as options here. So let's go ahead and hit the one for text, and I can write in cursive, even not very well, and it's going to go ahead and turn that into text. And any of my items I can go ahead and move to the next frame, and I'm going to use the icons in the top center to navigate back to that first frame if I'd like. There's one with shapes, and if we want a different color, let's change the color first. Now I can draw my shapes, and it's going to make them much better than I ever drew. Oops, even my line is too crooked there. Okay, the last one on here is, let's make this one red. And it's going to let me draw my little picture there, and as bad as that is, it knew that I meant a car. Another option I have for moving items to different frames, I'm going to go to the top. Let's add another couple frames here, and I can drag and drop that onto a different frame. I wish that was available on the Chromebook. It's not right now. Something else you're going to notice here, when I click on a frame, I have a little square in the corner, and that's where I can change the background. And this is great if I want to do something, especially with a math class. It's a background image, so I don't have the problem of hiding stuff behind it. I can use my shape icon now, so let's go ahead, we'll choose why don't we do blue, and now I can start to draw a grid, and I can maybe give a problem to all my students and have them label where they think that answer would be on my grid. And so you're going to see all these little people in real time moving about, and let me show you what that looks like. So if I'm on my Chromebook as well as on my iPad, I'm going to click this little hello, and you'll see my icon showing up because it's still my login, but you know who's doing what, and you'll see everybody moving parts in real time. So math is one great way, but let's look at a couple other options on how you can use this in the classroom after we look at just a couple extra features. I can upload things from my Google Drive. Honestly, I haven't found this to be super helpful because I can't make it larger, I can't open it. I'm not really sure what I do with that. Maybe it's more helpful if you have the actual Jamboard hardware. If I go to the web, I can go to a website, and I can, or even just my search here, and take a little clipping and add that image. So it's not like going to Google Images, it can be a clip of a website or something else here. These images here, I can search for something that ends in GIF. So let's say guitar.gif, and it's actually an animated picture. So we're going to add that, GIF, wherever you land on with that. It has a few emojis, not very many. It has a few frames, different options here. I can have a calendar, which would be kind of cool to have your whole class add items to that. You see I'm drawing on this. That's because I need to go back to my select tool, and now I can make this bigger. It's a little bit small. It's hard to do with two fingers. I can make my whole screen bigger. Now I can make it bigger. And I have to zoom out. There we go. So let's erase those. So let's see. We looked at some different frames. This would be great for brainstorming a story. And pictures, I can add pictures from my camera roll. I can add, I can take a picture, so maybe I take a picture of my student work and then I annotate over the top of it as well. So those are the different tools. I think we covered those pretty well, but let's look at a couple other options of how you could actually use this in the classroom. So a few ways that you could use this in the classroom. So we mentioned math, if you wanted students to plot points, and this could be something that they do individually. You can push out one template through Classroom and make a copy for every student, or you can have them all in the same jam. You can also do something with interactive maps. So let me click on this arrow so I can move these parts, but you could give students items that they move around. They could add their own. So where was the Mandan Fort? They can add information as they learn about a topic. They can add their text over the top. If you would like, you could give them those tools on the side. They can add their own. And if you're interested in app smashing, you could give students their own copy. Maybe it's the water cycle, maybe it's something about cells, and then they can move these parts while they explain their thinking using Screencastify, and then they can turn their video into you. So some other ideas, maybe you just have them all add their own post-it notes for an idea. So maybe I ask, what's your favorite book? And we get this big collection. Then you can, as the teacher, just go ahead, use your pen or your marker, and make a column for nonfiction and fiction, and then students can go ahead and start to move their parts around and sort, and they can have those discussions about which is which. And so those are just a few ideas. And it's great also for sketchnoting because you can bring in images, text, You can draw parts out. So we looked at the hardware of what a Jamboard is. We looked at Jamboard on Chrome. The iPad has definitely got a few more options, but the nice thing is everybody can have different devices. They're still in the same place to allow this collaboration and interactivity. If you have a great use of how you're going to use this in your class, please share it with us. It is great for brainstorming for yourself or for a group. Thanks.